Most men are walking around like ticking time bombs, fragile, reactive, soft. One insult, one rejection, one setback, and they spiral. That's not strength. That's emotional weakness. And the world doesn't coddle the emotionally weak, it devours them. You've been lied to. Conditioned to believe that being in touch with your emotions means letting them control you. That expressing every feeling makes you brave. That if something hurts, it's okay to collapse. That's not bravery, that's surrender. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Most men have no idea what drives their emotions. They let trauma, fear, and insecurity dictate every decision, then blame luck, timing, or other people for the wreckage left behind. That ends now. If you want to rise, to lead, to conquer internally and externally, you must become emotionally bulletproof. Not numb, not heartless, bulletproof. Able to feel, process, and dominate your emotions without being ruled by them. That's power. That's freedom. But here's the hard truth. Becoming emotionally bulletproof isn't a quick hack. It's not a mindset switch you flip overnight. It's war. A deep, brutal, internal war with the parts of you you've been avoiding your whole life. This video is not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them, because the man who can command his inner world becomes unstoppable in the outer one. You think discipline and drive come from nowhere? No. They are built on the back of emotional control. You think you can build a business, dominate a sport, lead a family, or shape a legacy while being ruled by anxiety, fear of rejection, mood swings, and emotional breakdowns? You can't. Emotional instability is a silent killer. It sabotages everything. Relationships, ambition, health, respect, all of it. Think about it. The guy who explodes every time things don't go his way, he loses the room. The guy who breaks down under pressure, he never gets the position. The man who can't handle criticism, he never improves. Weak emotions create weak men, and weak men live hard lives. Jung didn't just understand emotion, she understood the structure of the human psyche. He knew that darkness is part of who you are, your shadow, your primal instincts, your rage, your sadness, your deepest fears. You don't eliminate them by pretending they're not there. You eliminate their control over you by confronting them, integrating them, owning them. That's where true strength is forged. But let's be clear, this isn't for everyone. Most will click away, offended or overwhelmed. Let them. Weakness loves comfort. Strength requires confrontation. If you're still here, it means something inside you knows this is the truth. You're tired of being tossed around by your own emotions, tired of being passive, tired of being the guy who reacts instead of acts. Good, because what follows is not theory. It's not therapy speak or emotional fluff. It's raw, tested, and battle-proven. These are the principles that turn soft men into steel, that take you from fragile to fearless. We're going to dig into what makes you weak and how to kill it. We'll uncover the hidden drives behind your emotional reactions. We'll dismantle your ego, and we'll build something far stronger in its place: resilience. The kind of emotional power that can't be shaken by insults, heartbreak, failure, or pain. You want to know how to lead your life without fear? You want to know how to stop flinching at every emotional jab? You want to become the kind of man who can walk through fire without blinking? Then listen closely, because what comes next will demand the parts of you that are still alive, the real you, the warrior you buried beneath years of softness, excuses, and comfort. And we're bringing him back. Let's get one thing straight. Emotional strength doesn't start with breathing exercises, meditation apps, or self-help books. It starts with one brutal, inescapable principle. Step 1. Radical self-honesty. You cannot build a fortress on top of lies, and most men lie to themselves every single day. They pretend they're okay when they're not. They act like they've moved on when they're still bleeding inside. They claim to be strong while their lives are ruled by fear, guilt, and validation seeking. You want to be emotionally bulletproof? You start by looking in the mirror and ripping away every mask you've put on to survive. You admit it. You admit that you're still angry at your father, that you've never forgiven that woman who broke you, that you chase status because deep down you don't think you're enough. You stop pretending you're calm when you're seething. You stop playing cool when you're scared to death of being exposed. That honesty hurts. It should. Growth starts at the edge of pain. Jung called this the shadow, the part of yourself you deny, repress, or reject. And the more you run from it, the more it controls you. But here's the twist. Once you stop running, once you face it, your insecurities, your rage, your jealousy, your neediness, once you drag that into the light and own it, you strip it of its power. It becomes yours, integrated, controlled, directed. Men think strength is pretending not to feel. That's weakness in disguise. Real strength is choosing what you feel, when you feel it, and how it's expressed. You command it, it doesn't command you. But you can't command what you won't confront. Here's an example. A man who avoids conflict because he just wants peace. That's not noble. That's emotional cowardice. He's afraid of confrontation because he's afraid of being disliked. He doesn't want peace, he wants approval. You see how deep this goes? The world is full of men who claim to be stoic but are just emotionally shut down. That's not stoicism. That's avoidance. You want to be a real man of composure? Then you better understand what's boiling underneath the surface first. That brings us to Step 2. Emotional discipline. Discipline isn't just for the gym or your business. Emotional discipline means this: you feel something, but you don't react to it until it's been processed, paused, filtered through reason. You get rejected? Cool. You're allowed to feel hurt. But you don't lash out. You don't spiral. You don't wallow in self-pity. You step back. You assess. You say, what can I learn from this? Where did I fail? Where can I grow? That's what separates the weak from the strong. Weak men are slaves to emotional impulses. Strong men are generals, they lead their inner army. Emotions don't call the shots. They report to you. Do you think fighters, soldiers, CEOs, warriors, kings do? You think these men get to cry in a corner every time they feel overwhelmed? No. They channel those feelings into action, strategy, response. They feel, but they never fold. Your ability to pause between stimulus and response is the measure of your emotional strength. That split second where your brain wants to scream, break something, lash out, ghost someone, prove a point, and you say, no. You breathe. You wait. You choose power over panic. That's discipline, and it's trained, not inherited. You start small. You journal instead of explode. You sit with discomfort instead of numbing it with porn, food, alcohol, or dopamine. You speak when you're calm, not when you're fired up. That's the difference between a boy and a man. But none of this matters if you don't take control of your identity. That leads us to Step 3. Identity rewiring. Every man walks around with a story in his head. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I can't change. These are not facts. They're scripts and most of them were written in childhood, during trauma, by people who had no business defining your worth. If you don't rewrite that script, you will live by it. You will become it. To be emotionally bulletproof, you must become the author of your own identity. You must decide who you are and back it with action, daily. You say, I am calm under pressure. And then you act like it over and over until it becomes true. You say, I am a man who speaks with clarity and power. Then you show up in your conversations like that, even when it's uncomfortable. Your emotions follow your identity. If you keep calling yourself a victim, your emotions will obey. You'll feel powerless, fragile, reactive. But if you step into the identity of a grounded, disciplined, intentional man, your emotional system will begin to stabilize. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between belief and truth. Feed it the right belief and it will create the internal environment that matches. You're not just reacting to life. You're programming yourself with every choice, every word, every thought. Every time you rise instead of retreat, you rewire your mind for strength. This is what Jung meant by making the unconscious conscious. You bring those hidden scripts to light, you grab the pen, and you rewrite the damn story. Let's keep going because we're not done sharpening the steel. You've faced the shadow. You've started building emotional discipline. You've begun rewriting the script of your identity. Now it's time to install one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Step 4. Detachment. Here's a truth that will burn going down. The more emotionally attached you are to things you can't control, the weaker you are. Let that sink in. You attach your peace to other people's approval? You're weak. You attach your self-worth to whether or not she texts back? Weak. You attach your happiness to external outcomes? Weak. The world does not bend for your expectations. People are unreliable. Outcomes are unpredictable. Life is chaos. If your emotional stability depends on everything going your way, you're not a man, you're a leaf in the wind. Detachment isn't apathy. It's not caring. It's caring with control. You give your best to a situation, but you are not owned by the result. You invest in relationships, but you don't base your worth on them. You pursue goals with fire, but you're not shattered if the path shifts. Jung talked about the self, the unified, centered force at the core of your psyche. Detachment is what keeps that self grounded. It's what stops you from being yanked around by every emotional hook society throws at you. Look around. Social media is engineered to destroy detachment. Every scroll is bait. Every like, comment, and message tugs at your emotional wiring. It trains you to react, to crave, to depend. Unplug. Reclaim your attention. Watch how your emotions shift when you're not plugged into a dopamine drip. Your job is not to control the world. Your job is to control you, your perception, your energy, your focus. Everything outside of that is noise. Don't attach to the noise. Now let's sharpen it further. Step 5. Purpose over emotion. Emotions are signals, not masters. They can inform your decisions, but the second they start leading your life, you're finished. Let me break this down in the most practical way possible. You're tired? So what? You're anxious? So what? You're afraid? So what? You're heartbroken, discouraged, embarrassed, uninspired? So what? Your purpose doesn't care. You think your mission in life is going to pause and wait for your emotional roller coaster to settle down? It won't. The gym doesn't care about your feelings. The business deal doesn't care. The competition doesn't care. The woman who wants a strong, stable man, she doesn't care either. They care about results. That's not cold, that's reality. And the sooner you make purpose the anchor of your life instead of how you feel in the moment, the sooner your emotional volatility dies. Purpose gives your pain meaning. Without it, every negative emotion feels overwhelming. With it, pain becomes fuel. You channel it, you direct it. You're not just feeling anymore, you're forging. That's what men are built for, to feel deeply. Yes, but to transmute those feelings into action, discipline, creation, and legacy. Which brings us to Step 6. Emotional alchemy. The ultimate emotional strength isn't resistance, it's transformation. You don't just suppress anger, you use it. You don't just numb fear, you turn it into precision. You don't just avoid pain, you build muscle through it. Alchemy is about turning base metals into gold. Emotional alchemy is about taking your raw, chaotic emotions and converting them into power. Let's take anger. Most men either explode or suppress it. Neither works. But if you understand anger, it's just energy. Raw and undirected, you can channel it into relentless work ethic, into boundaries, into leadership, into intensity that moves the world. Same with heartbreak. Most men drown in it, or become bitter and closed off. Both are emotional death. But the emotionally bulletproof man, he takes that heartbreak, that betrayal, that rejection, and he builds. He trains harder. He sharpens his focus. He becomes undeniable. It's not about never falling. It's about never staying down. You feel pain? Good. Now do something about it. Use it. Transmute it. Every negative emotion you feel can be weaponized. The difference is your relationship to it. Weak men see emotions as storms that control them. Strong men see emotions as fuel they control. This is the final stage, not avoidance, not repression, but complete, intentional transformation. You don't fear your emotions anymore. You don't deny them. You harness them. You become a furnace. Every emotion that enters you is burned into fuel, power, drive, clarity. You want to be emotionally bulletproof? This is how. You confront your shadow. You master discipline. You rewrite your identity. You detach. You live for purpose. And you transform every emotional hit into a stepping stone. At that point, no one can touch you, because your power is internal. Your emotional core is forged in fire, and no amount of chaos, betrayal, loss, or failure can undo that. If you've made it this far, you're not like most. You're not soft. You're not passive. You're not here to play pretend. You're here to become a weapon. A man who doesn't just survive this world, but shapes it, leads it, dominates it. And to do that, you need one final piece. Step 7. Build the emotional fortress. Every strong man has one, not a wall to block emotion, but a fortress to contain it, to hold it, to command it. See, most men are emotional hut-sweak structures, collapsing in storms. They panic when life hits. They crumble under pressure. One harsh word, one unexpected change, and their whole identity shatters. A fortress doesn't flinch. It's built brick by brick, through rituals, through habits, through structure. If your emotional world is chaotic, I guarantee your routines are non-existent. You sleep late, you scroll mindlessly, you react all day long instead of setting direction. That's not a man's life. That's a boy with a phone. You want stability? Earn it. Design it. Wake up at the same time. Train daily. Journal your thoughts. Set goals. Track progress. Reflect every night. Keep your space clean. Control what you consume mentally, physically, spiritually. Every piece of structure in your external life becomes a foundation for emotional strength. You're no longer floating in chaos. You're living with intent. The fortress is more than discipline. It's your sanctuary, a place no one else controls, a code that keeps you grounded when the world spins sideways. Because it will spin. Life will punch you in the mouth. People will leave. Projects will fail. You'll be betrayed, rejected, tested, broken. Good. That's the forge. You don't build emotional strength in perfect conditions. You build it when everything's on fire and you refuse to collapse. When the storm hits and your foundation holds. This is what Jung understood better than most. That the path to wholeness isn't avoiding darkness, it's integrating it. Becoming a man who knows his demons by name and keeps them on a leash. You've got rage? Good. Use it. You've got fear? Good. Train with it. You've got pain? Good. Turn it into precision. All of this, every piece of emotional chaos you've experienced, it's raw material. You either let it bury you, or you shape it into the weapon that wins the war. Here's the last truth you need to hear. No one is coming to fix you. Not your parents, not your friends, not some therapist, not a woman, not a mentor, not a guru. This is your work, your war, your responsibility. You want to lead? You want to build? You want to be a force in this world? Then fix your inner world first. The man who masters his emotions is the man everyone looks to in crisis. The man who commands the room without saying a word. The man who doesn't flinch. Not because he feels nothing, but because he controls what he feels. That's real masculinity. Calm under pressure. Fire under control. Strength with direction. It's not about becoming numb. It's about becoming unshakable. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't care if you felt like it. The world doesn't slow down for your mood swings. It rewards those who move forward regardless of emotion. Not blindly, but with awareness, intention, and power. So here's the call. Burn the victim script. Stop blaming the world for your emotions. Build the fortress. Create structure so you're not tossed by the winds of chaos. Face the shadow. Own the darkness inside you and turn it into strength. Lead with purpose. Let your mission outrank your moods. Transmute emotion. Take every hit and use it to fuel your rise. You do this not once, not for a week, but daily, with aggression, with clarity, with intensity. And one day, you'll wake up and realize nothing can move you anymore. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become fortified. You'll stop being the man who reacts and start being the man who decides, the man who chooses. And that kind of man, that's the one who leaves a mark. That's the one who builds empires. That's the one who earns respect not just from others, but from himself. So the question is, are you that man? Or are you still letting your emotions run your life? Because now you know the truth. Jung was right. Your shadow is real. Your unconscious is steering the wheel until you take it from its hands. So take it. Grab the damn wheel. Lead your inner world like a king commands his kingdom. Stop apologizing for your power. Stop flinching. Stop waiting. Become emotionally bulletproof. And if this lit a fire in you, if you know you've been sleeping on your potential, playing small, making excuses, then here's what you do next. Like, comment, subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but because every click is a declaration. A declaration that you're done being soft. That you're done being controlled. This channel isn't for comfort. It's for transformation. So gear up, we're just getting started. Until next time, stand tall, stay sharp, and never let the world see you break. You're not here to survive. You're here to conquer.